G'day folks, this is the most must-see and subscribe going on YouTube, Bruzo Dragonius. What? Hey, this is the, what do you mean I'm upside down? This is here in Australia. G'day fellow Christians of the internet, this is the most must-see and subscribe going here on YouTube, Bruzo Dragonius. For today's video, I'm going to do more of a building the most positive video that I'm just going to think of. Even though that it's something that I really wanted to try, and I have been thinking about this from another furry YouTuber back down in England, whereas that this certain collie is analysing and judging all the great British stereotypes. But from this inspiration, I just thought, well, here in Australia, we Australians have some stereotypes as well. So for this video, I'm going to show you some of my stereotypes, and I'm just going to show you what I really think of it. Maybe I might just put it into an Argonian.pov one, or perhaps I'm just going to put it into maybe another list. Who knows? These are some of the stereotypes that the world would see Australians as. So I'm not going to be, I'm not going to include some of the, whether it's the dangerous or something like that. But the first stereotype that I wanted to focus on is that Australia are full of criminals. And see what you're getting, right? And the first stereotype that I wanted to show you is the fact that this country, when the white men came here in the 1800s, whether it's Captain Cook, whether it's Abel Tasman, whether it's the first fleet that landed right in Botany Bay, we do get painted a picture that all of us have been descended from criminals, because the fact being is that the majority of the people that first settled here are just convicts that are rejected from England over a piece of bread. This is the first stereotype that I wanted to address, because the fact being is that that's not always the case. Because the fact being is that we all know that the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have been here ever since, even before, within the BC, or whatever they call it as the dream time. And not only that, but so where have we got this stereotype from? Like I said, the first fleet, and not to mention that the ship's main cargo were mostly convicts from England. Yeah, they sort of did the wrong thing, but not all Australians are baddies. Not all Australians are convicts. There's some Australians that later came here on boats that have migrated here with their own will, or under their own will. Whether it's that they were to escape the horrible conditions of war and all that kind of stuff. They wanted to go to a new land in this beautiful island of Australia. And I probably would say that beautiful but stolen, I should say. Not to mention that Australia is not all the Brits and the Aboriginal people. But Australia is now a multicultural country, and if you would think about it, yeah, we still have we still have criminals, but not as much criminals as, or perhaps less criminals in the States or the UK or wherever. Even though that we do have the most corrupt politicians. So for this stereotype, I'm giving it around a 3.5 on the accuracy. The second stereotype that I wanted to talk about is the fact that we have this delicacy called the shrimp on the barbie. You could just say, well, don't you Australians have that? Don't you Aussies have this shrimp on the barbie? Let me chuck the shrimp on the barbie. Come to Australia. I'll show you shrimp on the barbie. That is another stereotype that I wanted to address, because the fact being is that right here in Australia, we don't call shrimps shrimps, and we call them prawns, right? We call those little cockroaches type things that swims in the oceans and that prawns, like tiger prawns, whatever. You know, we don't call prawns shrimps, okay? Maybe, I don't know, the US, Asia, you know, you do call them shrimps, but not here in Australia, we call them prawns. And the thing about it is that that even though that I've been born here in Australia, or been there all my life, I have not heard of someone offering me a shrimp on a barbie, because of the fact being is that, number one, I don't know how you would cook a shrimp, or what we call a prawn on a barbie. So that's just more of some, you know, from Paul Hogan saying, oh, I'll chuck you a shrimp on a barbie. But honestly, like, not to mention that I have not heard of a shrimp on a barbie or a prawn on a barbie except for a skewer. But even with that, I don't know how it would go, because the fact being is that, number one, there's no way that you can cook one on the barbecue. You either boil the thing, or what? If you know how to put a shrimp on a barbie or a prawn on a barbie type thing, maybe in skewers, you know, and how you cook a thing on it, then just comment down on the description below about it, okay? If you've actually put a shrimp or what we call a prawn on the barbie. So yeah, moving on. The third stereotype that I want to address is the fact that we're acting. That we all are acting. With this stereotype, it's all to do with the flat earthers' belief of saying Australia isn't a real place. Australia isn't real. Well, okay, yes it is, okay? And to be honest with you, I hate to say this, but if we're actors, and if we're paid by NASA, then, or England, or whoever is paying us to supposedly fake the existence of Australia, just with these asterisks. I mean, look, okay, we do have really good known actors around, you know, in Australia, and especially in the academy, right? But just to think that you would think that Australia is just a made-up place, it is real. It is absolutely real. I don't give a damn what the flat earthers would say, okay? As a matter of fact, the flat earthers would just shut the hell up about it, because they don't know what they're talking about. So, to those flat earthers, they need to the void. So to be honest with you, if we're actors, then we must be doing it for free. Or we're puppets. So, that is absolutely fake. That is just a stereotype. The fourth thing that we Australians are known to do is that we ride kangaroos everywhere. Right? Get this, okay? We don't ride kangaroos, right? We do not ride kangaroos everywhere. We don't commute in them, okay? We don't hop in their pouches and treat them as one of our horses or Uber drivers or whatever. We don't go anywhere. Okay? Kangaroos are not like horses. Okay? Hell, we don't even jump down the front of the horses, and not to mention that horses don't even have pouches in the first place, that we go into a kangaroo's pouch, whereas they were too damn big for these pouches. Not to mention that those foreskin that the kangaroos have, even the female, that's not built for us. That part of their anatomy is only to carry the baby in. And I mean, not even the baby human, but a joey, right? So, I have no idea how this sort of stereotype came from. So, if it weren't for that, then how else would we ride a kangaroo, right? Maybe on the back, like, I don't know, like Yoshi, like Mario did to Yoshi, does to Yoshi. But there's a thing. We don't ride kangaroos anywhere, right? That is a form of animal cruelty, as far as I'm concerned. We are not kangaroos, okay? And even if we are kangaroos, the kangaroos don't even carry each other in a pouch. So how the hell would they be able to carry us, right? Besides, the only kangaroo that we ride on is one of those metal flying things, which is called the Qantas Jet. We call that the flying kangaroo because of what's on their tail fin. We never did ride on the kangaroo, like an actual kangaroo, right? And we never will. The closest thing to an animal that we ride on is a horse, okay? Or perhaps a camel. But why would we have camels or horses to take us everywhere where we now have cars and trains and buses? Besides, like I said, it's animal cruelty. And the pouches aren't really for us anyway. They're for the baby kangaroo. The fourth stereotype that I just seen is the fact that we drink Fosters. And this is what really gets to me, because the fact being is that around the world, people think that Fosters are a national beer. Fosters is the drink of Australia. Whereas, what about other Australian beers like Victoria Bitter, like Colton Draft, like 4X Gold, and all those Australian beers? Hell, not many of us Australians drink Australian beer, but I occasionally drink, I don't know, Corona or Coors. Or sometimes I feel like drinking Asahi, right? Even though that Coors, Corona and Asahi is in Australia, in fact, that they're in their respective order, the American, Mexican, Japanese, okay? Not to mention that I have heard that Fosters did sort of taste a bit disgusting and all that kind of stuff, you know. I haven't tried Fosters, okay? I haven't seen anyone drink a Fosters. I haven't even seen a Fosters in a bottle of. So, I don't know what happened to Fosters really. In fact, that they went bust or whatever. And that comes down to our next stereotype, that Australians are drunkards. Now, okay, I do get that we do drink and all that kind of stuff, you know, we do drink beer and all that kind of stuff, not Fosters and that, but, you know, we do like to have a couple of drinks and that, you know, we do, you know, drink almost, you know, every single day and all that kind of stuff, you know, whatever the occasion. But, even though I'm not really much of a heavy drinker myself, and all that. So yeah. So that's probably in a bit of a maybe pile and all that. So, and also the other stereotype that I wanted to address is that, well, we curse a lot. Which, okay, I'm not going to deny it, okay? We do swear a lot, you know, that's what we do, okay? And, you know, we could just call each other the C word, you know, out of, you know, we just sometimes swear at each other just, you know, for compliments and all that kind of stuff. Even though even I do swear a lot as an Australian, but I can hardly swear on this channel because it's a bit of a, I want to keep it family friendly and all that kind of stuff. There's no denying it, you know. It's not just a stereotype that we swear a lot, you know. We just do swear at times, you know. And we do sort of like sailors, you know. And also the last stereotype that I wanted to address in about us Australians, or perhaps something, is that, well, we are nothing but hicks. You know, we're nothing but dumb hicks that pronounce everything backwards and that, you know, have our own names and all of certain things, like on The Simpsons and that, you know. We call them chess monsters! You know, I'm not going to do that. But, that we're just simple-minded. Okay? Well, that, again, I'm a bit iffy about that stereotype, because the fact being is that even though that we do have our own words, we do have our own slangs of some certain things, you know, we do tend to shorten place names or you know, names of people that we know. Like, for instance, our Prime Minister, or our so-called Prime Minister of Australia, we call him ScoMo, even though that's Scott Morrison, you know, Albo, whatever. And yeah, like, even though that there's people that say that, well, we're hicks, we're a normal hicks than the Americans and all that kind of stuff. And even though there's some other Australians out there that seem more complicated and more sophisticated than us and all that kind of stuff. And the other stereotype that I wanted to wrap it up on is that we surf a lot, right? Which, again, that's probably a bit of a maybe pile, but that comes over the fact that's pretty much the Aussie image of us being muscly and all that kind of stuff, all buffed up, you know, having gorgeous golden locks of blonde hair with the guys and all that kind of stuff. And the fact that we all surf a lot, you know, that is, I'm not going to challenge it really, but that's not the common trope of the Australian stereotype again, because the fact being is that, yeah, it is based around the fact being is that we mostly live in coastal towns around Australia. Even though I do live in Newcastle, which is a coastal city with a lot of beaches. Even though I would love to surf, to be honest, but I didn't seem to take up surfing and all that. So that is, again, basically in a maybe and all that kind of stuff. That's, again, in the maybe pile. And I probably could continue on. So anyway, maybe you can just contribute to this thing of, you know, in this list and in yourself. You can comment down. So I'm just going to wrap it up. You can just comment down with what other stereotypes that I sort of missed there that you wanted to add on. You know, that you would like to know and all that kind of stuff. Also, if you do like this channel, if you do like this video, make sure that you press that thumbs up button, smash the hell of that subscribe button, And also, to be the first one to know, make sure that you press the notification bell icon as well, so you can be the first one to know. And also turn on notifications on. The usual social media services or whatever. Ways to give me money is also on the description down below. Okay, this is just what I'm just going to be pointing on and all that kind of stuff. What else? If you want to friend me on PSN, it's, you know, my gamer tag is Bruzo21. Same thing if you want to meet me in Tamriel, any known. If you're, for those that play Elder Scrolls and all that kind of things, you can comment down what you like. You're more appreciated if you do consider subscribing to this channel. And if you did, and at least if you watch it to the end, and especially those that subscribe to this channel, thank you so much, because even though that one subscription from you isn't really much, but you have no idea how much it would do to me. In fact, that I do appreciate it a lot. So to my new subscribers and to whoever those watching it at the end, thank you so much. I love you all. These are all amazing. Just for doing this, and as for always, I'm just going to shut up now after I wrap it up by saying these things. May the hits guide you all, and bye for now.